a lot lighter without an engine. Whoa! Right, so what do you reckon for the red one? What do you reckon is the next step with that?
First off, I think we need to get up on the ramps. Get up on the ramps, have a look at it body-wise, and see if you've got any rust on it. If it's not too bad, there's no need to split it. I think we'll keep it where it is.
I think that'd be a big time saver.
Yeah, definitely.
We've always got the opportunity in the future to look at it further anyway, haven't we?
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
If it shows up anything, we can always split it next year after the Exped.
Absolutely. We know that the head gasket on this one was done within the last 2 years, so I think that's good. I mean, we could do a pressure test on it just to confirm that, but I think that taking the engine apart to do the head gasket would probably be just a...
Very time consuming. I reckon we should do a belt on it though, cam belt.
Absolutely,
you know.
absolutely.
Still, cam belt, water pump, etc.
Well, we're planning to do the turbos anyway, weren't we?
Yeah.
What was the company called you using?
Universal turbos.
Universal turbos. Right, we'll put that into them, and then you know, at least this one will be quicker.
Right, okay.
You know?
And then obviously we've got the bush kit, springs, shocks, seals, everything else to do on it as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's achievable.
Yeah.
As long as the bodywork underneath's good, everything else is achievable this weekend, I think. You know, electrics we need to sort out, we need to get rid of that immobiliser that's on there.
We need to bypass it.
We need to bypass
As far
that.
as the body goes, we know the rear boot floor needs doing. And we know there's a bit of a little hole in the front arch, inner arch.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think
That's it.
What do you guys think to this? Because I mean, that one, like I say, I thought was pretty clean, and it's only when we took the carpets up that we found the extra problems. Do you reckon it's worth us taking the carpets up in the front? And
Yeah, we need to have a good look, dig around, because there's no point doing it and then go put it through an MOT, and they go and put their finger straight through a hole that we haven't seen.
Bearing in mind that it has got an MOT, but an MOT is an MOT. So
that's true, and we need it to go in September. So I don't know when its MOT runs out.
No, I can't remember now. But no, that's fine.
But we want a fresh one.
Yeah. Defender. I think we've just got the front axle to finish off, haven't we, from last time. Front left hub complete.
Oh god, yeah, that early drive shaft and hub and everything.
Yeah. So front left hub needs to be redone complete. There's a couple of other things. I think steering damper needs to be replaced on it, stuff like that. But it's just minor bits on the front end, and I think then chassis-wise and everything, and running gear, as the axles and that, it's all done. It's complete.
So do we then look at doing the fitting the rear body on the back of that?
Yeah, I think so. Happy with that? All good with that?
Definitely. Yeah.
Right guys, welcome to the third weekend of the build. Introducing the third vehicle, this nice little red one here. So basically we're going to go through that, try and get that finished off as best we can this weekend. Hopefully not a lot wrong with that. If we go down the workshop a bit further, obviously the welding part of it still needs to be finished off on the green one. Once that's done, hopefully Sunday evening, last thing, we'll be able to drop it onto its chassis, and we'll be at a good place for that one as well. Defender at the back here, that one's now in a position where a couple of more bits to do on the front. Once they're done, we're going to try and get the body put on it and all sealed up, bolted down, good and tight.
Right, at the moment I'm just doing a bit of a pre-inspection on the next Land Rover that we're going to start. So obviously it's a Discovery. What I'm looking for now is we're thinking that if this one is cleaner than the last one we had and we can't find any decent amounts of rust, that maybe we can avoid taking the body off this year, defer that to next year. Repair what we need to repair, i.e. the boot floor we know is knackered. What I'm trying to find is bits like underneath here where we found rot in the driver's and passenger footwell on the other vehicle. So at the moment I'm trying to find something from underneath, catalogue any leaks and things like that we've got, so that later on when we come to do the gearbox and the engine, we know where the leaks are and what needs to be done, and if there is any welding work needs to be done, we can do it. But at the moment we're trying to decide whether we can avoid taking the body off. Bits we've discovered already: steering box is leaking, which is quite common on these. Luckily they do an exchange part for this, so you take the old one off and then you send it away, they send you another one. It's usually about 100 quid or so for an exchange one, so fairly cheap, and it's worth doing because it gives you a bit more guaranteed mileage. Other things we've spotted, there's quite a lot of oil coming from underneath. We think that that's mostly coming from around the filter housing, but without jet washing and running it up and checking, we can't really tell. But that's our first thoughts. Quite pleased that there's nothing coming from the crank end oil seal, although again it looks dry around the crank end oil seal, but you never know until you run these things up and on you go. Usual things, you can see where the springs, these original springs, which you perhaps haven't seen in previous videos, they're starting to look a bit crusty. And what they tend to do is they tend to either break about here, or they tend to break about here. They never, well, they rarely, I should say, break in the middle. They tend to just break the ends off of themselves. But if you have a look at this one closely, you can also see the shock absorber. Right? The shock absorber's got oil running down, and that's because the shock absorber itself is actually gone and it's been leaking oil. The telltale sign of the oil running down the side of the shock absorber, it usually comes out from the top of the piston, which we can't see because of the turret, but the telltale signs are there with all the oil that's running out of it. So that's actually an MOT failure. Luckily we're going to put some fresh new terra firma ones on, new terra firma springs, so this isn't going to be an issue anyway. It's just nice to see when you do these inspections that you're not doing it pointlessly. Another bit that we found on the underbody inspection is we found that the prop shaft here, it looks like at some point it's exploded and come off. So what tends to happen is that you have this universal joint here that takes all the movement out between the axle bobbing up and down and the fixed transfer box. What happens is that this is full of needle roller bearings that have got grease in them, so they continuously turn. But what happens is eventually they either dry out or they take a knock or something like that, and the needle roller bearings end up kind of grinding together. And when they grind together, eventually you get play in the prop shaft. And the way to find out is to wiggle it up and down like that, and you can feel like a bump as you do it. It should feel tight and it shouldn't move more than, I don't know, a thousandth of an inch sort of thing. You know, it really shouldn't move at all. So what's happened with this one is where the needle roller bearings have given up, the universal joint has let go. It probably happened at speed, but you can just see, I'm not sure how well it will come across on the camera, but this prop shaft has made this massive dent up here, and there's another dent here in the chassis rail that it's made. Luckily there's a chassis cross member just underneath it, and because it's got an extra, I think that's about 3mm plate there or thereabouts, it's taken the brunt of the impact. The chassis has still stoved in a little bit there, the body's stoved in a little bit, but it hasn't actually pierced. Now what that means for us is if we were doing like a full concourse restoration, I would probably chop that out and put another piece in, but because of what we're doing, essentially this being an off-road vehicle, there's no rot or rust or holes or anything in it. What we're going to do is we'll probably jet wash all of this underneath, good and proper, steam clean it, all that lot, good and proper underneath. And then Stu Ward, he's got some special underseal that he's going to put on. So once he covers and underseals that, it means that any rot or rust shouldn't get into it in future, and it means it's just, you know, an unfortunate quirk of the history of the vehicle. Stu got a charger. looks good. Slam panels in good condition. Bit crusty on this side. No, it's just leaves and stuff. Just muck. Spare battery box. How are we looking?
Please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at VIA Charity.